Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 4, maybe the final part. I was supposed to do a 15-minute video, the last one, but it cut off, things crashed, so it was only 7 minutes. So this is where I was going to leave off. Maybe we'll do 5 videos, who knows. Baby burned to death on bonfire in Chile after a cult leader decided she was the antichrist. So a 3-year-old infant placed on board with her mouth taped and thrown in the flames. So it says here people arrested the 4 members sect, which comprised of 12, quote, professional people. So it goes on here and it says that everyone in the sect was a professional. We have someone who's a veterinarian, a flight attendant, a filmmaker, a draftsman. Everyone has a university degree. It says that police said that the ringleader was last seen traveling to Peru to buy a hallucinogenic brew plant that he used to control members of the right. So, okay, so you think, okay, that's horrible, that's bad, which it is. Well, it's just the disconnect that people don't see or don't understand. Fetus in a jar, part of human skull found in a trash bag in New York. Police are investigating after a body of an unborn child was found in a jar in a trash bag on the street in Queens, New York, according to local news reports. They said here they also reportedly contain a human skull and some dollar bills. It says it was a small fetus in a jar who declined to give his name. Said one man, there's a full-grown skull. It says it's the craziest thing he's ever seen. The Daily News reported the objects inside the bag appeared to be the result of a bizarre religious ceremony. So the disconnect that I'm talking about, I haven't read that article. I thought it was going to be an abortion article. It was actually another ceremonial one. This one, Obama takes swipe at pro-life activists, ignores Gosnell during Planned Parenthood speech. That's where he said it's not going anywhere, right? It says here, no matter how great a challenge, no matter how fierce the opposition, there's one thing that's the past few years have shown that Planned Parenthood isn't going anywhere. It's not going anywhere today. It's not going anywhere tomorrow. He took a combative stance during a speech to Planned Parenthood today, pledging his unconditional support to the abortion giant, and at more than one point, taking a swipe at pro-life activists who oppose the organization. He says, as long as we have to fight to make sure women have access to quality, affordable health care, and as long as we've got to fight to protect women's right to make her own choices about her own health, I want you to know that you've also got a president who's going to be with you, fighting with you every step of the way. He was greeted enthusiastically by a crowd of some 1,000 Planned Parenthood supporters. You're making me blush, he said in a response to the protracted standing ovation. Remember, the Planned Parenthood head was just recently quoted basically saying that, that your children aren't really belonging to the parents, they belong to the collective, they belong to the community. So, the judge drops 9 charges, 3 murder charges against the Kermit Gosnell. So the abortion doctor dropped 9 charges, including 3 murder charges, 1 count of infanticide against the Philadelphia abortionist. So he will not face 3 counts of murder, 1 count, and 5 counts of abuse of a corpse. The latter charge is related to Gosnell's keeping the severed feet of the aborted babies in jars in his clinic. But he still faces the remaining 4 charges on first-degree murder in the deaths of newborn babies and an additional charge of third-degree murder over the death of one of his abortion clients. It says, I'm shocked that these counts have been dismissed, says Senior Policy Advisor for Operation Rescue, saying, I have heard the testimony be very credible witness to the fact that these babies were murdered in cold blood by Gosnell as they cried and struggled for life. So talking about the disconnect again, after-birth abortion, eugenicists say babies are a parasitic burden on society. So this is actually from August of last year. Many of you have probably seen it. But it says here that according to Alberto Jablani, after-birth abortion is proposed as a form of contraceptive, that would allow babies to be killed after they were born. So it's a reproductive health. In a paper published in the Journal of Medicine Ethics, when circumstances occur after birth, such as they would have justified abortion, what we call after-birth abortion should be permissible. We propose to call this practice after-birth abortion rather than infanticide to emphasize that the moral status of the individual killed is comparable to that of the fetus rather than to that of a child. Therefore, we claim that killing a newborn could be ethically permissible in all circumstances where abortion would be. So these people believe that infants are a threat to parents because of their financial burden to the parents, and that justifies the murder of the newborn babies. So when you watch movies like Killer Joe and you say, wow, Matthew McConaughey, I always remembered him as being a nice kind of positive, you know, like seemed like a nice guy. And he's in these dark movies, John Cusack, dark movies. Everything's gone dark. And that's what I see, the theme. A lot of these movies, you'll be shocked if you haven't watched some of these movies, if you try to tune out, and you see these actors that you thought were nice and wholesome, and now, you know, all of a sudden they're like these psychopathic, incestuous, cannibalistic murderers, psychopaths. I mean, it's just unbelievable, the crap that they're putting out there. And the younger generations are eating it up. 7th graders named 12 girls to kill in video. Wasn't it just out recently in Joliet? Where these quote friends, they were friends of these other friends in Joliet, and then they basically killed these guys, their friends, and they were talking about how they wanted to hack them up and how they wanted to have sex with the bodies. I'm not sure if they actually carried it out, but maybe you guys remember that story that I covered from the Mail Online, talking about how they had the girl was kind of pitching at how cool it would be, you know, to be a not a narcoleptic, but a necrophiliac. 7th graders named 12 girls to kill in video, says police. The 20-minute video allegedly spoke of classmates they wanted dead. 7th graders in New Jersey are in trouble after, they're in trouble, after making a YouTube video threatening to kill 10 to 12 girls in their school. So just another day, right? It says here it's been taken down. They've boasted of being good assassins and wanted to stab several classmates. Authorities say, I have special killing thingies for people, saying one girl says the trouble started Tuesday when one of the girls allegedly wrote down the names of the several students she wanted to kill and started reading the names out loud in class. So, says the girl making the threats was interviewed by a doctor and allowed to return to school the next day. But that's when the YouTube video was discovered and both girls were removed from school. You can't finish the video. You're so shocked this girl's actually talking this way, says the mother of the threatened girl. 4th grader's essay on marriage equality goes viral and earns national praise. So you can go there and check it out. Anonymous 4th grader student opted to tackle the complicated issue of marriage equality and managed to boil it down to the most basic of point. Why gay people should be able to get married is you can't stop 2 adults from getting married because they're grown, and it doesn't matter if it creeps you out, just get over it. So this is nice and everything, but we're talking about taxpayers paying for abortions, taxpayers paying for homosexuals to call themselves a married couple. I mean, it would be nice if we didn't have any of that, if we didn't have to not tell other people what to do, but if people weren't coerced into paying for abortions or for providing health, or basically the pill to high school teenagers or any sex education for preschoolers. I mean, just insane stuff. And if people are ethically or morally opposed to that, then why should they be forced to pay for this or pay for that, right? Why can't they opt out of it? So it's more than just, hating, God hates fags. It's not that. It's that people are being forced to pay for this. But it's funny, though, because the Republicans and the powers that be like to turn this into like this kind of more moral thing, which is like, we think we're this and this and this, and, But really, it's about taxes. But it's completely one-sided. So that's my biggest point, is that this is an overrepresentation of a small minority, and it's a completely distraction from other things that are going on that are more important. Firing teacher who called homosexuality a sin reflects modern British values of tolerance. In 2010, high school science teacher was dismissed. It's after he responded to a question from high school students aged 15 to 16 by saying homosexual activity is a sin. Teachers' authorities subsequently banned him indefinitely from teaching at any high school in the country, a ban that was later endorsed by the education secretary. Said his comments were inappropriate and he was guilty of unacceptable professional conduct. So he said in a statement that the ruling was likely to end his teaching career, but they would not recant his beliefs, saying God comes first and Christians are being persecuted in this country for believing in the Bible, saying that they have the right to believe and express what they believe, but they're now afraid of being punished for not being politically correct. He finished up by saying this country is free and a democratic society, but is it? Is it really? Defense Department blocks Baptist website, calls content hostile. Chaplains with the Southern Baptist Convention said the U.S. military has blocked access to its website on basis of the nation, calling the content hostile and inappropriate. The blocking comes just weeks after Army personnel cited Roman Catholics and evangelical Christians as possible examples of extremists The Southern Baptist Convention is the nation's largest Protestant group and stands steadfast in its opposition to abortion and same-sex marriage. Chaplin said that this SBC.net had been censored, and those trying to access the site at various military bases were greeted with the warning, "The site you have requested has been blocked by the Team CONUS due to hostile content." This is the new normal, though. This is from January 10th, 2013. Pastor backs out of Obama inauguration over previous anti-gay comments. He had announced he was basically going to be the pastor to give the benediction at the presidential inauguration. Has now pulled himself out of the ceremony after criticism of his previous anti-gay comments actions. Sources confirmed. There's also like this dude, Ben Carson, absolutely willing to step down as commencement speaker after gay marriage comments. So, Johns Hopkins pediatric neurosurgeon Ben Carson said on Friday he's absolutely prepared to step down as commencement speaker for the university's medical school after controversial remarks he made this week about gay marriage, freedom, and tolerance. Love it. Amanda Bynes shaves her half of her head, and apparently talks to herself incoherently. So this is pretty interesting because this is, of course, part of mind control. This is part of the androgynous agenda and emasculating women and feminizing men. It says here, the latest stop on Road to Crazy taken by Amanda Bynes shaved off half of her hair. So it goes on here, and it says here that making matters worse, a recent important radar is her hearing voices and talking to herself in a language that is nonsensical while wandering around New York City apartment building in the middle of the night. So there you go, hearing voices. Remember, like pull onto oncoming traffic or jump off that ledge, right? Hearing voices. No, it's not that. It's microwaves, CLFs. So moving on here. $2 trillion of underground economy may be recovery's savior. The growing underground or black market economy may be helping to prevent the real economy from sinking further, says analysts. The shadow economy is a system composed of those who cannot find a full-time or regular job. Workers turn to anything that pays them under the table with no income reported and no taxes paid, especially with an uneven job picture. And people are trying to avoid taxes, right? Senate endorses bill on internet sales tax that would rise the cost of online shopping. So let's kill the economy more, right? Like Obamacare. Let's kill the economy some more. California eyes penny per ounce tax on sodas and energy drinks to combat child obesity. The funds would go into the state's newly created Children's Health Promotion Fund, which will probably fund vaccinations and stuff like that. Other similar programs aimed at kids. Total U.S. debt to GDP, 105%. So that's pretty insane. Now, how much we're borrowing, how much we owe, to how much we're producing. Here it is at about 76-77% in January of 2009, and here is March 20th, 2013 at 105%. It says U.S. debt to GDP ratio is now quickly reaching insurmountable levels. They're reinventing GDP using our U.S. GDP to revised in July by adding intangibles to the tune of $500 billion, the make-believe economy. Says if you can't make the unemployment rate go down by having hundreds of thousands of people leave the workforce, we can boost GDP by adding random items into the equation. The U.S. economy will become 3% bigger in July as part of a shakeup that will see government statistics take into account components such as film royalties and spending on research and development. Talking about fudging the numbers, that's what Obamacare will do, right? They're going to lessen the hours for workers that they have for full-time now into part-time, and they're going to hire more workers to pick up the slack, but they'll be part-time. America the Fallen, 24 signs that our once proud cities are turning into poverty-stricken hellholes. Said in Oakland it's an average of 33 burglaries per day. It says in Chicago the murder rate was roughly equivalent to the number of murders in the entire country of Japan during 2012. The murder rate in Flint, Michigan is higher than the murder rate in Baghdad. If New Orleans was considered to be a separate nation, it would have the second highest murder rate on the entire planet. 20% increase or boost of people living in homeless shelters in New York City. Detroit, Cleveland, and Miami, it's anywhere from 45 to 60% of all children are in poverty. UK homes are now the most cramped in Europe with average. The cramped conditions are making people depressed and ill. The average home has shrunk from 85 square meters to 70 square meters in the last 30 years. Homes in Europe are 15% bigger on average and 80% larger in Scandinavia. IBM robotic coworker will help engineers fix broke systems. So, robots are taking jobs from every sector of the economy. Human computer dies at 83. Useless eaters, computers are already able to beat the best chess players. So they got to get rid of those useless eaters. Congress prepares a $100 million bipartisan flu tax to raise taxes on flu vaccines. U.S. halts largest HIV vaccine trial for treatment failure. Kind of like the HPV vaccine that has little value or the flu vaccine that doesn't work. But it does work. It makes you sick. Thank you.